Oh my gosh. Let us bring on Dr. Susan Otuokon, and she's going to speak to us. We're going to have a little conversation about how Maroons and other Indigenous peoples and the environment are interrelated. Dr. Susan Otuokon, am I greeting you yet? Ah, yes, she's here. Welcome.
And also just to say, Fofi,
Not hearing her. Her mic is muted, Franco.
Okay, right. I have unmuted. So you
Fabulous.
should be hearing me. Yes.
I'm hearing you fabulously well. You look wonderful. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure. I'm here at home and just I'll show off some of my masks, my collection of masks from different countries. Every different country I visit, I try to get a mask because I think that's a special representation.
It is indeed.
Of their cultural and spiritual.
Oh, so. Marcus is asking if he can use them for COVID.
Some of them might be a little bit too heavy.
Oh yeah, but that's just a fight. The virus is a force we need.
Interestingly relevant at this time.
Yes.
And again, I would just like to welcome Dr. Otuokon because this is someone who Frank never stopped talking about. Susan Otuokon was always on Frank's speed dial and
people of note.
Oh yes, oh yes. But again, in all of the struggle for the designation of the Blue and Jonko Mountains, this is a soldier who helped us to accomplish that. And so again, thank you for all of that. And
thank you. I wouldn't miss this for anything. And so I'm going to try to share my screen, if I might, to.
Certainly, proceed.
Okay, well, hopefully I can find it now. You know how technology is. Host has disabled participant screen sharing. So I don't know if there's something you can do on that side.
Franco, we have a very qualified technical person here, you know.
Okay. She ready?
Yes, Franco, that's you.
Yes, I'm ready anytime.
Okay. She's ready anytime.
Share. All right.
So.
Share.
Screen, but it just keeps saying host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, really? All right.
So maybe you have to go somewhere in your settings. But in the meantime, I'll just go ahead sharing as Carol was introducing me. Or maybe I'll just bring it up as Carol was introducing me. The Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust. It is important to recognize that we're a non-government organization, and really we were formed in 1987, and the company setup was in 1988 in order to try to address environmental challenges that we were seeing were really just going to prevent.
Share screen.
So I see share screen, but when I click it, the message comes up from Zoom saying that the host has disabled participant screen sharing. So I'm just kind of going ahead with the presentation because time is limited.
Yes, thank you.
So if that technical issue can be addressed, then I will share the screen. But if not, just to go ahead anyway, is one, I was just introducing JCDT because you indicated that's the organization I work with. And I was saying that we're a non-government organization and established in terms of the company in 1988 to take better care of our environment. And we see ourselves as partnering. Partnership is very important for us, whether it's government, whether it's community-based organizations, to better protect our heritage. Initially, we really started out with a natural heritage focus, but as we grew and came to understand how relevant the cultural heritage was to natural heritage and the role of the Maroons, we have really engaged with cultural heritage preservation. And this is because we can't expect Mother Nature to take care of us unless we are also taking care of her. And if we want to have socioeconomic development and livelihoods then we need to ensure that we are protecting nature and taking care of nature. So then we have a particular focus on the Blue Mountains area. Our first projects were in the area, particularly on the Blue Mountain Peak Trail. And eventually we were asked to manage the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park, which was established in 1993 under the NRCA Act and through NEPO. And so we work with that agency. Then came the idea of the World Heritage Site designation. And we recognize that sometimes in countries, if you can get some kind of international designation, it is very worthwhile, because if you are able to, okay, I see that I should be able to, so there, my screen, I don't know if it's actually showing some information there about
Carol?
JCDT.
Carol?
So somebody can let me know, but I will try anyway. It says that I'm screen sharing.
I think I bring it up. You guys seen it?
Not yet.
I'm seeing a blank screen at the moment. I'm assuming something
Okay,
is
so
coming
maybe
up.
it's something is coming up.
No, hold on. Franco, can you stop sharing your screen, please?
All right.
Right, that's it. He needs to stop
That's right.
sharing, and then, so so hopefully what will come up is this map that shows Eastern Jamaica.
That's correct.
And the national park in a kind of cream color, and at the center is the World Heritage Site. And around that in blue are what we refer to as the community buffer zone, about 50 communities around the boundary of the national park, because nobody actually lives within the national park. It's all crown land, as we say. I don't really like that term. I prefer to say that it is land vested in the people of Jamaica for our benefit, to ensure water supply, to ensure climate change resilience, adaptation, mitigation, ensure watershed management, and so on. But we need to work at these things. So the idea came up then of National Park was designated in 1993, and JCDT became involved, as I said, in managing that. Then we said, you know, this area we believe is worthy of World Heritage Site inscription. Jamaica has signed a convention on World Heritage, and countries are asked to identify sites that you believe to be of outstanding universal value. So not just sites of importance nationally, but a site that is important to the world. And we felt that because of the biological diversity, the vast array of plants and animals found nowhere else in the world but the Blue Mountains and the John Crow Mountains, and also because of the cultural heritage of the Maroon peoples and the story, the history of how they fought to defend their freedom and to successfully maintain their freedom and sovereignty, and the fact that they used the natural heritage to secure that freedom and sovereignty. We brought those two together in the World Heritage Site nomination. It was a very long process because it's a very difficult process. There's independent international evaluation. So you can't just go and say, we think our site is globally important. Sign us up for World Heritage. You have people who come and visit, who interview people, who read up documents. And so it really took us into 2015. In fact, the 3rd of July, 2015, before the site was inscribed. And it's the core best of best forest in good condition. And that's also where Nanny Town, the original spiritual and I think governance capital of Maroon communities in this side of the island. So it's a very significant area. I also wanted just to pay a little attention to, you asked me to speak about indigenous peoples, and it would be the Maroons in our case, but I know that not everyone feels that our Maroons in Jamaica are indigenous. So I went and tried to find some definitions, and based on my reading, I think that the Maroons of Jamaica qualify. It speaks to, for example, various UN documents. One says indigenous peoples are inheritors and practitioners of unique cultures and ways of relating to people and the environment. They have retained social, cultural, economic, and political characteristics that are distinct from those of the dominant societies in which they live. And I believe that's the case with our Maroon communities in the different areas. And
that is very much so.
I think that one of the challenges, however, and it's a challenge faced throughout the Caribbean and any place where you have people transported, not through their own free will, through enslavement, transported from their original country to somewhere else. They had no history with that area, no knowledge of the plants and animals. They had to start from scratch. But in our case, they did so with the help of the Taino, which I really appreciate that you are, bringing into the International Maroon Conference. And so we think that it's very relevant. Unfortunately, I think you are saying, Carol, that some of that heritage and history is being lost.
That's right.
It's not being taken care of. And so we see a number of environmental management issues, even within Maroon communities or nearby Maroon communities. And some of them perhaps even being practiced by Maroon people. Unsustainable, inappropriate land use practices, clearing of forests, unchecked use of fire. That's one of the most distressing ones to me, because people say, oh, the fire gateway. What can I, as if to say, what can I do? The fire gateway. But if you know that fire always gateway, because fires are very powerful things.
That's right.
So it's going to get away from you. We people are not really so good at being able to control something like fire, water, air, all of these things. And that goes back to if we appreciated the spirituality of our ancestors, wherever you come from, you would understand that. But I think we have lost that.
That's right.
So we don't understand. We light the fire to serve our purpose, and then it gets out of control. So river pollution and poisoning, pony hunting, all of these things, even though they do have some basis, some of them, in terms of traditional use. But we also see some cultural heritage preservation in issues, particularly around the Blue and Jonquil Mountain, youth moving out of rural communities, declining interest in preserving cultural heritage. And some of this is related to people's view that, well, it don't make money and I need to make money quick because, times are hard. But I think we are missing the point. But what I'm saying is that those are the issues that JCDT realizes in our management of this national park and World Heritage Site, which so closely intertwines with Maroon heritage, that we have to work with the Maroon people. And despite the difficulties that we have in terms of, misplaced people, people who have become disenfranchised, disempowered. So we recognize that in our management of the National Park and World Heritage Site, which the Ministry of Culture has asked us to be responsible for, we recognize that one of the things we need to do is find ways for especially our Maroon communities, but other communities also, to participate. And in some ways that requires building capacity. It involves the need for training, and it also involves the need for working with Maroon communities. So for example, we have, thanks to the Ministry of Culture support, we now have a cultural heritage officer, which means that we are not just dependent on me to remember to call up the various colonels and leaders and say, we need to have our quarterly meeting. Because when you meet on a regular basis, you're able to put your heads together. And I think that is such an important aspect even of Maroon heritage and the heritage of our ancestors, the way that people don't just make a decision by themselves. You know, if the leaders come together, they have discussion with people, get the various inputs. So we have our regular quarterly meeting, and coming out of those meetings of a few people, then the colonels and the various leaders in communities will take back and share in their communities, bring forward concerns. And so we're able to hear concerns like the need for funding, the need for employment, the need for job creation, the need for skills